when it comes to preparing a claim, what are some very common mistakes you see, and what are your advice to kind of correct those mistakes as a veteran would submit or prepare to submit that claim?
So I would say, and this comes from the experience that we have here on YouTube, but also the 10 years or so of veterans benefit stuff, and primarily veteran service officer accredited with the VA, running a sizable office with a staff helping veterans. And I would say that when we see mistakes, it's typically somebody who's coming in after they've already tried to give it a go themselves. And what we commonly see is a rush to get the claim filed, therefore a lack of evidence. Now, this evidence could be, I mean, anything. It could be just lackluster evidence, just, I threw in a letter myself explaining that I have this condition. Okay, fine, that's evidence, but it doesn't really, I mean, it kind of counts. You need something a little more concrete, right? It's a good addition. It's nice to have it in there, but really you need some more stuff. So it's the whole gamut, Clay. You're going to see people who will file claims thinking, and this is the sad part, and I'm going to blame the VA and everybody else who should be informing veterans, that we tend to try to think through things logically and go, okay, well, if the VA has a gigantic medical system, obviously they would check me out and help me get my claim going and diagnose me for my claim and all that good stuff. But that's simply not true. So what happens is that, you'll get people just from not understanding how the process works, thinking that the VA is going to step in and help to document and create the evidence needed. For me, it's a lack of awareness, lack of education, coupled with haste. So, once you decide, okay, I'm going to file a claim, it's like once you decide to buy a car, right? You've been thinking about what's the next car you want to get. Finally, you nail it down. You know exactly which one you want. Now you can't hardly wait to get somewhere to buy it. And sometimes you'll take a crappy deal just so you can walk away with that car that you wanted so bad. So we tend to rush. What you can do, and I already know you're thinking it, Clay, is my most favorite thing about the VA process is the intent to file. Throwing in that intent to file, let that take the pressure off. You filed something. You started the process. You can rest. Go ahead and take the time to develop your claim, get all the evidence you need, and make sure that you're submitting something that we call fully documented and developed, right? Get all the evidence for all the key points, which I could totally dive into, but I want to kick it back to you because those are some of the things that I see as just, kind of those three, right? The lack of education, lack of, awareness basically of how the whole system works. And then the rushing aspect.
Oh yeah. So it's in line with what you said. I totally agree. I would frame it this way though, is a lot of veterans, not everyone, most veterans understand that VA healthcare is VA healthcare and VA disability is VA disability. But I want to explain what that actually means, okay? And it's kind of like how you said, how the VA is not going to help you get that evidence, okay? So once you submit that claim, you're not a patient. That is a legal document. It's a legal process of submitting a disability claim, which is the VBA. Just think about it. You're asking the VA to give you taxpayer dollars for probably the rest of your life. Okay. And so that's the right frame of mind. That's the right frame of mind veterans should have when they submit a claim, because that right there kind of sets the stage of saying, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, then let's get some evidence, right? It's kind of like a court case. Whenever you hire a lawyer and you have whatever problem it is that you're going to have, that lawyer is not only going to make your argument, but they're also going to understand the opposing side's argument. That is what veterans have to do, saying, okay, what does the VA need for me to be awarded service connection? And on the flip side, what is the VA going to use to deny that claim? And just starting from there, and I understand there's a huge education process to that. I'm not saying there's not. But if veterans could somehow get to that starting point, I think just from there we will see an increase in service connection. Just from there. Now, that doesn't go to say that you can't use VA healthcare as evidence. I'm a huge fan of using VA healthcare. And why? Because if you're 50% and up, it's free. And if you're 40% and below, if that condition is service connected, then that is free, along with the copays and the medications and the MRIs and X-rays and physical therapy. I mean, you name it. Okay, so there's a huge monetary benefit to using VA healthcare, but that does not discount private insurance either. Um, in my personal opinion and experience, the VA is quick. VA healthcare is quick to give treatment, right? That's the VA's goal. VA healthcare, your doctor does not give two diddly squats about your VA rating or what it is you plan to do with your VA rating. They will help if they can, but it's not on their mind. Their mind is, hey, you had this condition, let's treat it. That's it. That is the extent of VA healthcare. Private insurance, in my opinion, is if you need a formal diagnosis, like an ICD code, which is International Classification of Diseases, you're probably better off going the private insurance route when it comes to that specific evidence gathering. So that would really be the number one mistake I see veterans make is when they submit that claim, they don't understand that it's a legal proceeding, and that comes with evidence, not just hearsay. Okay. Now, there's a point in time where hearsay, and by that I mean statements, do come in clutch. But in my opinion, again, it's not going to be during the initial claims process. You'll really see that come through in appeals, specifically the Board of Appeals. And that gets into the weeds of some common mistakes. But did that spark any thoughts on other mistakes that you want to bring up?
Well, just a point of clarity too, because I love that you brought this up, and it's not really clarifying what you said. It's just really for the viewers to understand it a little more too. VA healthcare, I think, is a great benefit for all of us, and I know that it's a geographic thing for real. I mean, some medical centers or clinics suck. I get it. That's the leadership at that level that's messing that thing up, right? But for all the reasons you said, the free aspect, all those things are great. I would say that for VA healthcare, sure, for evidence for increases, awesome. Evidence for maybe a secondary, sure. Evidence for a service connected, if you already have the nexus, sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to establish a nexus, probably not, because they're not really apt to write you a nexus letter. They don't really want to complete a DBQ for you, these types of things. So you're probably better off to go with a civilian provider who might be able to do that type of stuff for you. So again, I mean, it's filled with nuance, this world. The other kind of piece is, sure, even if you don't have a VA rating currently, especially now, chances are you may qualify for VA healthcare. Now, you have to run both in tandem and drive each ship yourself. Okay, so back to Clay's point, the VBA side, the Veterans Benefits Administration, filing for a claim, filing for monthly compensation, a payout, an award, right? That's a legal process that at the end of it, you can have a decision by a judge. So you're going to run that. Now, you can also go over to the VHA, and if you qualify because you're toxic exposed or whatever, and May 5th, was it May? March 5th.
March 5th.
Yeah, March 5th. I'm like, May, where's May? March 5th. March 5th, that opened up to about 3.5 million more veterans that didn't qualify for it before. So there's doorways into the healthcare system. You may qualify, so go find out if you do. You can start seeing, if you don't have any other insurance or it's too expensive or whatever, go that route and start to get your evidence together as well. So yes, they can help. They're just not going to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go help yourself, right? So with that, I'll kick it back to you, Clay. I just wanted I got those two thoughts from your comments.
Oh yeah, and going back to your haste, I think that is If I had to really rank these in order, submitting your claim too fast probably is number one in my book, to be honest with you. Because what I want to do now is, all right, we've prepared our claim. Now you're going to go submit that claim. And I am my number one recommendation is veterans do their own preparing. They understand the process just enough to figure out what it is you want to claim and then take that to a VSO, someone who is accredited through the VA and submit that claim. That's my personal opinion. Can you do it yourself? Yes, you can. It's very easy. You can do it online. If you're an OG, you can do it by mail if you want to or over the phone. Your call, okay? But online is very, very simple. But the VSO will make sure not just that your claim is submitted, but if you have private records, the VSO would know, oh, we need to get those private records and submit them. And they'll have access to a system where they can submit those records. You don't have that access. And so you would have to use Quick Submit, but you probably don't know how to use Quick Submit. So that's like a small scenario where a VSO would come in clutch.